Here we are, David Bowling, and taking the time out to sit in front of his computer screen and have a bit of a chat to us about the wines, mate. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure, of course. Happy to be here.
Excellent, mate. You were up in Brisbane recently and didn't get a chance. Well, got a chance to catch up, but didn't quite get a chance to have a chat about some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. Namely, obviously your wines, the process, some really interesting wines in your lineup. So we'll talk about some of those tonight. But firstly, there's been a little bit of press. There's been some recognition for you in the Gourmet Traveller Wine Magazine, Winemaker to Watch, and very recently the Young Guns of Wine Festival, which is, a festival. It's not just a nomination; it's a whole week of fun and games. A couple of nods to you for what you're doing, and being a relatively new sort of winery, I guess it's good recognition. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's great recognition. Like you said, it's I guess I'm fairly new on the scene. It's only been a couple of years now, I guess. 2008 was the first vintage, and really that was more of a giggle than anything else. So it's fantastic to get that recognition, and I feel very lucky. But what it really means to me, I guess, is it's recognition in the public forum, but it's recognition more personally for me of the sort of conviction of my style. I really stick to my guns, and I make my wines a certain way. It's not unique. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but I do worry more about certain things than others, and I do sort of disregard some things that perhaps the academics would tell you otherwise. So it's recognition of that, and it's recognition that of my palate, I guess, because the way that I make the wines is the idea is that all the wines are a sort of direct expression of my palate.
So, mate, from someone who doesn't really have a lot of winemaking knowledge, you talk about those things that you do or things that you don't do. What are they? And I guess sort of what is it that you choose to do that is an expression of your own sort of philosophy or commitment to a technique?
Sure. I guess the first thing that I do, it's probably one of the most important, is I just drink wine. I drink wine all the time. In fact, I'm drinking right now.
Yep, of course.
Because the next glass of wine you have might be the greatest you've ever had. So that's pretty important to do that, to drink a lot of wine and learn more and more about it every time. Other things that I do when I'm making the wine, I guess, is always carry the glass, because probably the most important thing, I think, is looking at the wine at every stage throughout its life. Juice throughout, ferment. And I'm talking hour by hour. I'm really there. Snuggling each one of my wines right through its process, which I guess, I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. Being a small operator with a very small, number of tanks and a tiny basket press, I've only got a few things to worry about at one time. So I guess that's an advantage, but I try and use that to my advantage. So I don't spend a lot of time in the lab. I don't worry too much about analysis. I guess I'm more focused on what's in the glass at every stage and using my palate to sort of determine the next move rather than looking at the numbers, which is what they probably teach you to do more of. I mean, obviously, sure, they teach you to taste, and that's a big component, but it seems to me, from what I learned, a lot of the focus was on, the numbers tell you something, so you interpret them a certain way and act a certain way. Well, I think it can be a distraction, really, if you're trying to just focus on what's in the glass and how can you go wrong.